There's been a mixed reaction to the latest government onslaught on AIDS, the television advertisement and the leaflets that have just been unveiled by the Health Secretary. Some doctors working with AIDS patients have praised the new material, but the Terence Higgins Trust, the main charity for AIDS victims, says it's too little, too late. David Roby reports on the response to the television advertisement, seen for the first time last night.
There is now a danger that has become a threat to us all. It is a deadly disease and there is no known cure.
No sooner has the new AIDS film got onto the screens than a row's developing over it. Some critics say it's too dramatic, others that it's vague and lacking information.
AIDS Education Project, can I help you?
At the AIDS Project in Paddington, where they're counselling high-risk groups like homosexuals, prostitutes and drug users, workers watched the new advertisement with mixed feelings.
It doesn't actually say how AIDS is transmitted. In short, simple terms, the message could get across. And as I say, if you are a person with AIDS, how would you feel if you saw an advert like that? It doesn't give you a good image, and AIDS really has to be thought of positively.
It's going to frighten them rather more than is a good idea for effective education. If people are very frightened, they turn their back on finding further information. It won't happen to me.
The adverts in Europe show safer sex and AIDS in a positive atmosphere, in the fact that it doesn't matter what you've done in the past, the future is what counts, and everyone has a personal responsibility in this.
Some medical experts treating AIDS patients take a more positive view. They're delighted the campaign's at last underway.
Well, I think it's very powerful. It makes very clear the point that AIDS is a big disaster, that anyone can catch it, and I think that's what has to be done.
But some advertising executives are saying the ad is too vague.
I think the advertising is too safe. I think that my worry about it is that it is not practical. It's not in the real world. It's a careful advertisement. It doesn't help me behave better. It doesn't change people's behaviour, is what I'm saying.
The advertisement is aimed at introducing this leaflet. Millions will be delivered with the post in the next 3 weeks. And the row over the television ad looks set to be followed by disagreement over the way the leaflet sets out the government's AIDS warning.
Well, the Bishop of Birmingham, the Right Reverend Hugh Montefiore, is in our studio there now. Good morning, Bishop. What do you think of this campaign?
Well, I'm very glad the government's undertaking the campaign. Very glad indeed. I must say, I don't think that the television ad's much good. I think it's really rather horrible, the phallic symbolism of starting with a drill and a chisel with a hammer. I mean, whatever sexual intercourse is, it's not like that. And I do think that the idea of this telecast is to point you to the AIDS pamphlet which you mentioned, and I wish it had something more direct, not just pointing it to that.
And I mean, that's all its function is, really, isn't it? I mean, it is to tell people that they should read the leaflet that's coming through the letterbox.
Yes, but you can't really talk about the ad without talking about this, and this is sort of quality paper stuff. I mean, who's going to read all this? You really want strip cartoons with balloons out of people's mouths or something like that.
Is it the language in this pamphlet which is coming through everybody's letterbox next week? You say it's the language you think is inadequate, or what?
Actually, I mean, I do think it's most unfortunate that it simply says if you don't think your partner's safe, use a condom, because in the first place, condoms aren't fully safe, only 85% safe, and in America, people haven't been buying more of them, and I do think that the government ought to have some values here, because the government said we're not moralising at all, but in fact, you can't say that society doesn't care about sexual morality.
But are you saying then, Bishop, that people ought to be told that they should either be celibate or be faithful? Is that what you're saying the government message should be?
What I'm saying is that unless people change their lifestyle, and that means care over loyalty to a partner, to a single partner, they're in for a very, very dangerous time.
Given that many people, of course, have more than one partner during the course of their lives, isn't it sensible to advise them to use condoms and to avoid certain practices?
It's very sensible, and I'm all in favour of them mentioning it. But you see, we've been told before that the government says better stick to a single partner. But I don't see it anywhere in this document. I'm afraid it's not there, and it doesn't really live up to that. And I do think that a government can't contract out of saying what is healthy for society.
Bishop, thank you. Coming in, speaking earlier this morning, Tony Newton is the Health Minister with special responsibility for AIDS. Minister, is it true that this television advertisement is so vague because you didn't want to offend people?
No, it's not. The television advertisement has been constructed in the way it is because its prime purpose is to grab people's attention and direct their attention to the leaflet, which is the next immediate phase in the campaign we're conducting.
But you could have used your television time and the great money that's been spent in telling people what they can or cannot do safely.
Well, you certainly could not have encapsulated in a 40-second television advertisement anything like the information that is contained in this leaflet.
What about the Bishop of Birmingham's criticism earlier on this programme that this reads, as he says, like a quality paper. It ought to be written in strict cartoon form, and indeed, it may well be that people genuinely don't know what anal intercourse, for example, is, which is one of the phrases used here. Shouldn't you be using more language of ordinary people?
Well, the leaflet is simply laid out, clearly laid out. The language was tested in one of the drafting phases, and we believe it will be understood. Of course, no one is suggesting that either the leaflet or the advert or the press adverts that appeared last week are the final stage of this campaign. We're going on learning from experience and building up a campaign stage by stage, but I think this is a sensible next move.
There's a story in the Today newspaper, an exclusive, which says that a doctor at the head of the Communicable Disease Surveillance Centre is saying that your estimates of how many people will die of this disease, which we heard yesterday of 4,000 by 1990, that is a serious underestimate, and that she is predicting 20 to 25,000 cases in the next 5 years. Are you trying to play this down?
No, we're not trying to play it down, but we're trying to make the best responsible estimates we can. There is a good deal of statistical uncertainty. The estimate of 30,000 people with the virus in this country at present is very much an estimate, could be wrong by up to 50%, either way, I should have thought. Nobody can be sure at the moment how many of the people with the virus, however many they are, will actually go on to get AIDS itself. So there is room for a lot of different statistical interpretation.
Just one further point. The Bishop also said that you're ducking your moral responsibility. You ought to be telling people the only way to be sure of avoiding AIDS is to be faithful.
I don't believe we're ducking that responsibility at all. It's made quite clear that the best course is to stick to one faithful partner. But we have to accept as a government that not everybody has the same moral views, and we have a clear duty to get across practical advice. Our campaign, in my judgment, is complementary to that which the churches and others might quite legitimately raise on strictly moral issues.
Minister, thank you.